So welcome to the fourth class. Today is all about spirit guide communication, and we're going to do more than that. We're not just going to be meditating for an hour and a half and talking to our guides and trying to listen. We're actually going to connect with many different groups who act as guides, and we're going to feel the difference between their energies. And this is going to give you some discernment of who is coming to you when that happens. So we've all had that experience of feeling like we were being watched, or like there was something else in the room, or maybe we felt like we've been poked, or something has played with our hair. That's very common. And you don't always know who is doing that, right? There can be some question. Is this a relative? Is this my spirit guide? Is this an angel? And, you know, sometimes if it's frightening, you may wonder if it's something bad. And so I like to empower you today so that you can find out who is coming to see you. And when you call someone, is that really the person showing up that you've called, or is it someone else? And we're going to do that just by observing the energy and how it feels in our body when we connect with it. So on your handout for today, which if you have a chance, please print it out or at least take a look at it so you see what I'm saying. If you're on the webcast, it is on the left-hand side of the page, and it says Class 4 handout. And if you're on Facebook, you can see that I posted it in our group. And it's really just as simple as creating a little grid and writing in who you're calling and then what it feels like when they show up on the right-hand side. So, yeah, that's pretty simple. That's the main bulk of what we're going to do today. We're going to connect with different groups. We'll be connecting with an angel group, with your spirit guide, with different specialists, with people from different realms, like maybe the fairy realm or Pleiadians, or, you know, there's so many different kinds of beings out there, just like there are different kinds of professions here in different countries here. There are all sorts of kinds of beings on the other side as well. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you liked your readings that you all got. I heard from some of you saying that you did. And before we really get into today, I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions about the course so far, feel free to speak up. And if you have any comments about your homework and seeing energy and, you know, connecting and trying to do readings for each other, you can press *2 now or type your question in the webcast and I'll answer it. Hello, Deborah. Hi, Chris, on the webcast. I just saw your hellos. Okay, so that's great. You guys seem like you are chugging along quite well. So before we really get into it and the work today, grab some water. I've got some here. We're going to be doing a lot of work, you know, a lot of energetic work, and the more water in your system, the better. You know, it's okay if you have to take a little break in the middle of the class to go to the bathroom. And I would like to get into a little discussion about spirit guides because I think they're commonly misunderstood. And I know a lot of this from experience and from, you know, working with so many people's spirit guides. That's really one of the main things that I do when I do readings, and emerged at a really young age that, you know, it was fine to talk to the person in the reading, but I got a lot more information from the spirit guide. So that's always been a really fun thing for me to do. And I learned really early on that they're not really our guide. They're not really the person that we're supposed to ask the questions of. They're really just making sure that we don't get into huge amounts of trouble, and that if we're really in distress, you know, if we really look like we're going to jump off the bridge or leave the planet in some other way, that they'll kick in and send us some love, turn things around for us, and kind of steer us in the right direction. And that has been the case pretty much for everybody. There have been exceptions where some guides were very vocal and very active in the person's life, but I find that to be a rare case. So, for instance, when you see moms able to lift, cars off their children that have been pinned underneath, that's with the help of a spirit guide. When you see people who are about to commit suicide really just have a turnaround and change their mind, that's often the spirit guide. I know for myself, and I'm sure you've had this experience where you're just unconsolable, right? Maybe somebody broke up with you for the first time, it was your first love, or maybe you got into a financial crisis and you just don't see a way out of it, and you're unconsolable, you're crying, and then all of a sudden it's just gone, right? You're not sad anymore, you're not depressed anymore, it's just, you're neutral, right? You stop crying because there's nothing to cry for. That's normally your spirit guide. So they're very wonderful and amazing, but they're not really a replacement for you asking for your own counsel, asking your own higher self. So I just figured that would be helpful to know. Now, they are willing to talk to you, and they are willing to be a sounding board for you, so that if you're in a pickle and you want to ask them questions, they never will hesitate to answer you, and they'll never hesitate to interact with you. It's just that they don't make your decisions for you. Hope that makes sense. So they're amazing. They're around you whenever you want them to be around. You're never bothering them if you want to call on them. And we normally have a couple guides, and we add more to our lives as we need them. So if you grow up and you are really on a spiritual path and, getting out there, making your thing happen, more guides will come to assist you because that's what's needed. And there are also specialists. So I know this is kind of strange to think about, but if you think about here, there's general doctors and then there's specialists. Well, in guide land, there are general guides and then there are specialist guides. So if you are, let's say, in a place in your life where you're really clearing a lot of past life trauma, you can call in a guide to help you with that. Now, I've had that experience actually, where this specialist came to me in the night, and I could either fall asleep during the, quote-unquote procedure, or I could stay awake. And she was, literally pulling out memories from me. And I could see them if I stayed awake. I could see the memories and what they were and what she was pulling out of me. Or I could fall asleep and have it just happen on its own by her. And I use all these terms really loosely. Her, being pulled out of me, past life. That was just a representation of what was happening. But it was really, really cool. One of the memories that I saw her take out of me was me stabbing my then husband in the back with a sword. And that explained a lot. It explained why he was so defensive with me and why we had such a weird relationship, even though we really loved each other. So, so many cool things can happen if you're open to it and if you allow it to happen. So just know that if you're ever in need of something, there is a specialist out there who can help you with it. Whether you're trying to write a book or you're not able to really notice a pattern within you and where it started, you can call on the angelic realm or any kind of guide to come and assist you. And you don't even have to know what a specialist is called. You can just ask, look, I need help with this. Please deliver someone tonight, It's really that simple. So that's what a guide is. That is what specialists are. And another thing is that it's really common to outgrow a guide. I see it all the time. There are lots of different kinds of guides, and as we evolve and grow in our journeys, we can outgrow the capabilities of our original guides. And we can actually fire them. We all have free will, and we can all attract to us people who are helpful and people who are not so helpful. I have had many a guide that was attracted, who outgrew themselves or who turned out to be not so beneficial. And you just have to realize that you can get rid of them just as easily as you can call them in. And I know that this is a really strange concept because normally we're taught that, our guide is our guide and that's it. Or they can do no wrong, they always know better than us. And that's really not true. Like going back to the sun ray metaphor, we are always all-knowing and all-powerful when we're in communion with that sun ray going back to source. So there's never any other being that can know more than us. What advantage they do have is that they don't necessarily live in our dimension. So they don't have this programming of growing up in a culture like ours with, advertising and thinking that this is real, like that earth life is the real deal. The guide has the benefit of living outside of this, and so they're not as colored by our culture and reality as we are. And that's the same for any other being living on a higher dimension. And if I'm getting too out there and weird, just let me know, but it's kind of helpful and empowering for you to know that there's no other being that's better than you. Even if they call themselves the ascended master, grand poobah of the 12th dimension, you have an aspect of you as well that lives on the 12th dimension. So always defer to yourself and your own judgment before anything else, okay? Whether an angel is telling you or your spirit guide, you're always the one who knows the absolute truth. It's just helpful to have some outside perspective, again, because we live on such a limited plane. Our consciousness can only handle so much information, just like the fact that we all know by now that we create our reality, that this is just a hologram, but it's hard day to day to really embody that, right? Like we don't go around jumping off of mountains because we know that it's not real. We don't. We walk down the mountain very carefully. So there's a lot of benefit to talking to these other beings, but I don't ever want you to replace your judgment for theirs. That's all I'm saying. So, you're the shizzle. Just keep that in mind. Okay, and so my last little part of the opening lecture. Oh, yep, I got a question. Let me go to Donna. Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. A question I have is if we have another part of ourselves living hypothetically in the 12th dimension, are we able to call upon ourselves from that dimension as a guide to our own self?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And, in fact, that's what you're doing when you ask your higher self questions.
Okay.
And when you're, how when you're in the flow, you can be doing anything. So you can be drawing a picture or cooking or doing some kind of sport or reading a book where you're just in the moment and you lose all sense of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at that moment, you're channeling your higher dimensional self, too.
Okay. And another question on that, too, is what if somebody from a different, like if we were extremely in tune with ourselves at this point, if somebody from a different dimension or ourself from a different dimension were to call upon us at this dimension, do we travel to help others or to help ourselves, or are we kind of at the lower amnesia level on this plane?
That's an awesome, awesome question. So because our current perspective is on this plane, right? We're pretty much in the 4th dimension at the moment. Our body selves don't really go anywhere. Like, we're not teleporting yet. But when we sleep, our spirit selves travel to lots of places and help out in lots of different ways. So, yes, we do travel and we do help out, but we go as our whole self. We go as all of our dimensional selves.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I love that question, and I don't know if I've mentioned this, I think I have, but how we are living here on this plane, right, with our perspective, looking out and seeing physical objects and going to work and having money and stuff, but we're not just living this life. We're also living on our bigger dimensions. So if, like, say if we're a teacher in this lifetime, like I'm a teacher, some of you are mothers who teach their children, and, you know, everybody's pretty much a teacher in some way. If you find that thread running through your life, then when you're sleeping or on other dimensions, even when you're awake, you are probably teaching others there too. We're kind of living lots of different lives at the same time. And I know that that could ring a bell for you because we feel like we're way more important than maybe our current reality would suggest. We all, when we're doing something that we love, feel like there's more to it than just what's happening on Earth. And I just want you to know that it feels right because it's true. Hey, Donna.
Yeah, I'm here. Did I just?
I must not have put your hand down. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I looked over and I saw your hand up again. Okay, I'll turn it down and I'll mute you. Okay. So, yes, you are all doing really huge things in the universe, even if you aren't aware of it at the moment. Okay, and so, hope that makes sense. Please feel free to ask any questions. I really love them, and they do add to the conversation. I'm just going to check the Q&A for a sec and make sure everything is good there. And so speaking of all these different kinds of beings, like specialists and angels and guides, I also want you to be aware of the fact that there are, you know, other beings from different planets and star systems that are working with us and helping us out, acting as guides, and it's nothing scary or weird or anything like that. So if you just think about the fact that our soul, you know, kind of came here, like we are a version of our soul here on Earth. Well, the universe is huge, you know, and our souls, we go lots of different places. You've probably heard of the Pleiadians, of Zeta Reticuli, of Arcturans maybe. You know, there's lots of different places that we can go as souls to have a different experience of being in a body or just being in a different place. And when I say the word alien, it brings up this really specific thing of those Zetas, or the Greys as people call them, who are scary and take people in the night and do all sorts of things to them. And that is an experience that definitely happened. And it's not to downplay the fear associated with it, but they're not the only race of aliens out there. And in fact, if you really look at us being souls on Earth, we are aliens too. So there are lots of species out there, especially the Pleiadians, who are really helping Earth right now kind of raise its consciousness. They're helping us by giving us information that can help assist us in growing past our perceived limitations. And if you've ever heard of Abraham Hicks, who channels the group Abraham, or Daryl Anka, who channels this being called Bashar, those are all quote-unquote aliens as well. It's just that those are kind of what people would associate as the friendly ones. And even the Zeta now, they went through their own journey. They are, it's a long story. I would love to have the Zeta conversation with you if you want to, but maybe not in this class. Hit me up on Facebook and I'll maybe make another recording for you, or we can have another conversation if you're interested in that. But they've evolved as well, just like we're evolving, and no longer take people against their will and no longer do that program that they were doing before with, abducting people and stuff. And on the bigger level, we all agreed to that anyway. So when we were forming our lives and seeing what we wanted to do on Earth before we came down here, we agreed to participate in that program for our own evolution and to help out their society. So no one is a victim here. I know that's nothing new, but that is the truth. So, yeah. So guides can be angels, specialists, otherworldly beings. They can be us on different dimensions, like Donna was mentioning. And they're all amazing. You know, you can even call on different groups, like the dolphins or fairies or plants or minerals. If you can think like a child here. Like, would a child play that all the snails were alive and had wisdom to share? Would a child play that every blade of grass, you know, could tell a story? Yes. So basically, ask yourself, if a child would think that they're real and have a personality, then it's probably true. So, yeah. I love that. Children can teach us so much. Okay, so any questions before we move on to like the doing part of the day instead of the listening part? Okay, awesome. So now you can just relax. We're going to do a little meditation. Oh, Deborah says, like when I hear quotes, you know this, you have already done this before, end quote. And I think she may have been talking about how what we are here on this world is what we're already doing on like other dimensions. Kind of like if you're psychic here, then you're psychic everywhere. Or if you're a teacher here, then you're, you know, a natural teacher on other dimensions. Yes. If that's what you're talking about, yes. I'm sure whatever you're talking about, my answer would be yes. So thank you for sharing that. All right. So yeah, grab some water. Relax in your chair, and then we'll start a little meditation to get you centered and open, and then we're going to call in one by one different guide groups, and what you're going to be looking for is, how do you feel? You know, really specifically, after you call in your spirit guide, do you feel a tingle in your left arm, or does it feel like someone's touching your hair in a specific spot? Or when you call the angels, does it feel like your heart is opening? Or does it feel like your feet are getting warm? These will all be really specific to you. And I would love for you to take notes, even if you have not printed out the handout. Just jot down on a piece of paper or on your keyboard how you feel after each meeting. So I'll give you a minute to go and grab some water, grab a pen and paper, and then meet me back here. And I won't be calling on, I won't be calling on any alien groups, because I know that can freak people out. But if you'd like to do that on your own, a really good group to get started with is the Pleiadians, because they're very, very helpful and very gentle. They all are pretty much, but you know, I know that can be kind of a loaded thing, so we won't go there today. You can do that on your own if you'd like. We will be doing the fairies, the dolphins, you, with, you know, your higher dimensional self, your spirit guide, and I'll probably throw in one or two more. Okay, everybody ready? All right, so just relax. Start to breathe into your belly. Let go of your day. Make a pact with your mind that you'll come back to it. And it'll only take an hour. Breathe in. And on each exhale, let yourself relax. Let the tension go. Let the stress melt away. Breathe deeply into your belly. And exhale any doubts, any need to be right, any worry. And as you relax, you may find that you want to roll your neck around or wiggle your toes just to release that extra energy. And you may want to yawn, clear your mind, or make your hips more parallel with your shoulders. Loosening up your jaw is always helpful. Massaging your forehead to relax those muscles. Now just imagine that you're lying on the beach. You're feeling the sun hit the top of your face. You can see the redness of the sun behind your eyelids. You're feeling supported. The sand underneath you is molding to your body. Anything that you want to release, the sand will gladly take and filter down into the core of the earth for you. No guilt, no heaviness, just release. And that sun hitting you is giving you information. It's connecting you with the version of you that is still part of Source. And as you connect to that sun ray, you can start to smile and you can start to remember who you are. And with each breath in, you'll soak in more of that warm feeling. More of that knowing that you are Source. That there is more to you than just the part that has eyes and a bank account and a life. You are the whole deal. You're the sand. You're the air. You are your best friend. You are the house you live in. You are the ocean. And you are the sun. And beyond that, you are infinite. You are infinite love. You are infinite peace. You are infinite wisdom. And you have infinite experience. You have all the answers. You are never shut off from that knowledge. So breathe in the truth of who you are. And let go of who you are not. Hand it over to the sand and let it trickle down into the earth. Feel the warmth and be reminded. So now that you're firmly grounded in who you are, I would love for you to ask your higher self to let you know what it feels like when you connect with her. So just ask your higher self to be connected and notice what happens in your body. And when you've got a feeling, just press star 2 for me. Sorry to interrupt your meditation, but I won't know otherwise. As you're breathing in, just ask higher self, what does it feel like to connect with you? And you should get a pretty instant sensation. If it doesn't come as a sensation, it may be a word popped into your brain. It may be an emotion. Someone on the webcast said that she feels childlike and giddy. I often feel a warmth come over my face. And just remember that this is a conversation. And so when you ask, leave that pause open so you can hear the answer. And sometimes the answer will come before you're done asking the question. A lot of people are very quick to get answers when they really think that they're slow and that the answer's not coming. So just realize that this is really natural for you, and to just see if the answer is coming in quickly but subtly before you're even done asking. Okay, so when you've got it, just write it down on your paper. And then shake it off and go back to your neutral zone of relaxed and supported. So, now what we're going to do is ask a really special group to come in. And after you are back and relaxed, breathing in, breathing out, releasing any frustration or any worry or doubt, just open yourself up to the experience and imagine that a whole drove of dolphins has now swam into your room. See if you feel differently imagining them in the room. Ask them in your mind to connect with you, and then see if you feel a shift, even subtle, in your body or in your mind. And press star 2 when you're done. Have fun with the dolphins while they're here, too. Just breathe in their essence. Imagine that there's a dolphin in the room with you, and see what that does for you. Deborah on the webcast says that she heard, "Don't be afraid of the water," and that her hands got warmer. For the dolphins, a lot of people just feel really childlike. They feel really excited and happy and playful. It'll be different for everybody. So But if you're having a hard time, just imagine, just play like a little kid. Let go of any kind of needing to be right or having to do it right, and just play. Okay, so now we're going to call on a different kind of group. So thank the dolphins, send them swimming along. And ask yourself, ask your higher self, really. This is going to be a personal one. To connect with an angel group that is already in your life. So even though the conscious you won't necessarily know who those angels are, your higher self will. So in your mind, just say, higher self, please ask the angel group that I'm connected with to come and connect with me. And then just see how you feel. You can do this knowing that the right angels will show up, and knowing that you have an angel group that you work with. So just like when you get up to open the door, you're not worried that you won't know what to do. You're not worried that the door won't open. You just go up to the door and open it. Same here, same kind of certainty. You just want to ask your higher self to bring those angels to you, and then know that it's happening. Okay, so if you've had trouble with this one, press *2 and we'll talk about it, and maybe we need to do some more meditation to get to these guys. Okay, heard from Deborah. She says it feels like a pressure between her eyes. That's perfect. For me, when I'm connecting with my angels, the first thing I normally feel is a heaviness kind of all around. Almost like there's a really huge statue in the room, and it kind of makes me feel like a little bit of a statue myself. Like there's more mass to me, like I'm heavier. Does anyone want to talk about their angel experience if they've had one? Okay, I'm going to pick up, I believe this is Dion. Hey, Dion.
Hi, everyone. So I joined the meditation a little bit late, but I don't know if that's the reason. When you asked us to call in our spirit guides, I really didn't feel anything. When we did the dolphins, I didn't really feel anything, but at the very end, I kind of felt like a tingling wave sensation going, on going down the side of my face, but on the inside. And then when we just did the higher self angel group, I kind of felt pressure on my shoulders. Mm-hmm. So, I feel so far in this class, let me just state that unlike some other people who, clearly saw things as children and just shut it off, I never had that experience. I signed up for your last class and this class because I'm very curious to know about the energy world, which we don't see, and to tap into it. But I don't necessarily have, a given talent. And so yes, I mean, there's still a lot of questioning, and, when the last class you asked us to look, for the spirits, I think, in the corner of the room, that didn't amount to anything for me either. So I'll let you talk now.
Okay. I just want to ask, did you practice the spirit seeing at all?
I have not. Unfortunately, there's a major event going on in my family life right now that, is drawing, my attention, all of my focus on. So I'm not as free as I would like to be to practice in between classes.
Got it. Okay. Just wanted to know, and then I'll answer you, but I'll put you back on mute. Is that what you wanted? Okay. So, yeah, it's a really valid point in that some people did have an idea that there was more to life because they saw it or they heard it when they were kids. I certainly was one of those people, as a lot of people I draw to me are. But, I think the only advantage that they have over someone like you who is just more curious is that they understand how subtle it is. Because if you think about it, if it was like hit you over the head, real feeling, they wouldn't probably forget about it for most of their lives, or they wouldn't, dismiss it so easily. Because if it was more like, oh my God, that's definitely something, there's no denying that, there's no way my mind can reason out of that, then a lot more people would have these stories and would be more openly psychic for all of their lives, instead of just forgetting about it and putting that away. So with that said, it's kind of like realizing that this is very subtle, and that when you get those sensations of just a little bit of a tingle or a little bit of pressure, that's doing it. Like, that is communication. That is, you got it right. That's how they communicate with you. And so you have to give yourself credit for being able to feel it and do it. And, like I said in the beginning, not of this class, but of the course, you have to take what you get. You have to take what you're given and be grateful for it and acknowledge it in order to get more. That's just how it works. So if those people who were children got what they got, they saw a ghost in the room or they heard something from a deceased relative, if they paid attention and if they were like, wow, that's really cool, let me do more of that, if they were excited by it and grateful for the experience, they would have gotten more, and they would have grown up openly psychic and developing and, getting to a place where it's more common for them to have that experience, and where it's not so subtle for them anymore, where they can pick up on it, more easily than most people. And I hope that makes sense, because literally we see the energy all the time. It's just like when I show people their aura, most people are like, wow, that's it. Because it's so true. When you look around and you look into the night sky, it's not just a flat black picture. It's moving. It's subtly shifting. There's a layer of like light fog over it, you know. But you have to look for it, and you have to allow yourself to see it. And in order to do that, you have to be in the moment. So if you're worried about something, or if you've got children, you know, pulling at you, you probably won't have much luck because your attention is elsewhere. For this stuff to happen, you have to put your attention on it. You have to fully be open to receiving it, and that means really having your attention fully there, because again, it's really subtle. So, another thing is that we can often expect to have great results that are, you know, not so warranted. Like, we expect really big things by putting in a little bit of effort. So just like if you were trying to learn Chinese, you know, if you were trying to learn Chinese, but you only practiced 1 hour a week, would you think that you're a failure or that you're not doing it right if you didn't know Chinese after a month? Probably not, you know. You'd have to practice. You have to learn the subtleties of the dialect. You have to learn to conjugate the verbs and write the characters the way they do it. There's a lot to it. And so learning how to be psychic again, because again, you're all psychic. You're all born that way. It's just like, you know, learning a language. You're learning the subtleties of yourself and of this world and of the world beyond. And it does take some effort. It does take some practice. So if you want to be really good at it, like Heather was able to see really quickly and easily, but she practices all the time, you know, when she's brushing her teeth. So my suggestion to you would be loosen up on yourself. You are doing it right. It's just that it's really subtle. So give yourself credit, especially since you're going through something really big right now. The fact that you were able to come today and do part of the meditation and get those results is actually really good. So I love your comments. Keep them coming. You know, if you're having trouble, definitely let us know. But you're doing it. You're right on. So that's what you're looking for, those subtle little changes in your body or mind or emotions when you're asking to connect with these things. Does all that make sense? Does anyone have any more questions or comment? Deborah said her talent. Deborah also, oh, okay. So Deborah says she heard that she hasn't found it yet. She hasn't found her talent yet. So Dion, you can take that. That's a little mini reading from Deborah. Maybe you guys can connect on the Facebook group after and talk about that more. All right. So, yeah. So we got angels. I didn't see many hands raised after the angels. So let's start there. For those people who did feel something for the angels, would you press *2 for me or type something into the Q&A? Because if not, then we'll do them again. Okay, you did. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you. Okay, so for the next group, and I think we'll go into a little bit more of the meditation first so we can relax again and get into that open state. But we're going to be welcoming the fairies, so that will be super fun. They're very unique. All right, so for now, just shake it out. We've been in we've been in learning mode for me answering a question, so now we want to go back into just being mode. So breathe it out. Roll your shoulders. Roll your ankles. Breathe into your belly. Let out a nice ah or a yawn. And start to remember who you are. The fullness of that sun ray. The warmth of the sun supporting you, guiding you. The comfort of laying on sand. With each particle of sand supporting the contours of your back and your body perfectly. Knowing that you are connected to infinite wisdom, infinite love, and just breathe that in. Give yourself this gift of letting go. Let go of your responsibilities. Let go of the roles that you play, even if just for this half an hour. Really breathe in the love that you are, the love of the universe, the non-judgment, allowing yourself to simply be you in this moment, with no expectations, other than just breathing. Let out a yawn, let out a sigh. And when you're ready, just ask the fairies to connect with you. See what happens. And when you've gotten something, you can just press *2. Thanks. Or type in the webcast. Okay, I'll give you a moment to do that. Okay, fabulous. So I hope that was fun, getting to know the different energies. And so why that is so helpful is because now when you want to connect to a certain group, you can just ask them to come connect with you and see if it matches the way you felt before. So you always know who you're talking to, even if you can't hear them or see them, you'll know they're there, okay? You'll know that they're supporting you in whatever way they can. And you'll know that there's no imposter. All right, now for something mega fun. What I would love for you to do... Oh, we didn't do spirit guides. Silly me. We'll do your spirit guide now, and then we're going to ask for some, real connection, some interaction. So get back to that place where you are feeling good, feeling relaxed, and then do this one more time and just ask for your spirit guide to come forward and connect with you. And I know we said that we have many, and so just know that the right one will come forward right now. So go for it. Okay, so just relax. Send some love to yourself and to your guide. Just imagine that you're shooting out some love beams from your heart and really try to feel it. Be grateful for yourself and your connection. And thank your guide, even if you couldn't feel him or her. And then ask once more for a little hug, or a little love from your guide, and see if you feel anything back. stressful. That may have been really fun. I think everyone kind of had their own experience of going through that list and identifying what each group felt like. So just shake it off. If it was difficult, let it go. And know that you did your best and that nothing's wrong with you if it was difficult. Remember, this is like learning a new language. And honestly, if you haven't been, playing in this area, it's going to feel a little tough at first if that's, the experience that you're feeling. It doesn't have to be tough. We really are naturals at this. We do this all the time. We're translating energies every single day, all day long. But allowing ourselves to have the experience of doing it easily is not always the path that we choose, which is fine. I did not choose to learn French easily in college. I learned Spanish pretty well, but when it came to French, I was just not having it. And so there's no right or wrong here. If this is difficult for you, then that's your journey. If it's easy for you, then that's your journey. But know that if you want it to be a different way, practice, practice, practice. Okay, so now we're going to make it a little interesting. What we're going to do is I want you to think of all the things that we just connected with. So angels, dolphins, fairies, your higher self, and your spirit guide. And think about the one that you'd want to talk to the most. Possibly the one you felt the biggest connection with, the one that intrigues you the most. I know that Deborah wrote on the webcast that the fairies were excited for her and were clapping and saying yay. They were excited to meet her. So she may choose the fairies. So think about from that group of who we just connected with, who you would want to talk to now. Because then we're going to go in and allow you to have a conversation with them in whatever way is going to flow easiest for you. Some of you will hear words, I'm sure. Some of you will just feel things. Some of you may see something. And I want to leave this kind of open-ended because that's the way you learn. So think about who you want to connect with and press star 2 when you've got it. And if you want to, awesome. You guys are great. Okay. Perfect. So now I'm going to lower your hands and ask if anybody has a question or wants to comment on the last exercise. If you do, just press star 2 or type it in. Okay, I think I'm going to Donna. Oh wait, maybe not. I'm not sure. Hi.
Hey, is it me?
Yes, hi.
This is Donna. I just want to do my last exercise. I got, some connections were stronger than others, and I'm going with my spirit guide on this one, but I'm so glad I'm alone in the room, honestly, because it was so sweet and overwhelming. Like, my eyes were crying with gratitude. It was so sweet. And then when I went to get the hug, I got a hug, but then at the end, my guide held my hands, and they got very warm and electrified, but in a sweet way. Not like, ooh, but it was beautiful. I could just tell they were clasping my hands. And I'm not sure, but I'm thinking it's this guy in particular is a he, but it might be not a he, or it could be, either way. But it was beautiful. Thank you on that. And the other ones weren't as strong as that one, but that was my favorite. I mean, and they were all great, but they weren't as strong. It's not like I had profound crying experiences on the other ones, but some were more playful. But anyway, thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. So glad that you felt that way. Cool. Yeah, and I want you guys to know that that's really okay. You will connect more with certain groups than you will with others, And since I picked some for you, you know, it's quite natural to have no connection or minimal connection with one or two or a couple of them, because that's just, you know, there's a lot of groups out there and you won't all connect with everybody. So thanks for bringing that up, and I'm so glad that you had such a good experience with your guide. Guides and angels are very good at communicating with emotion. So just keep that in mind. Like if you call in angels or spirit guides and you don't actually hear words or see anything, maybe they're pushing an emotion to you. They're very good at sending energy. So awesome. Okay, so sit back, relax, be supported, be relaxed, and I want you to think of this as a conversation. So you're going to call in the group or guide that you feel most connected to. Ask them a question, but pretend they're real. So keep it light at first, you know. Don't go into like, what is my purpose right away, because that's not very polite. You wouldn't walk up to a stranger on the street and say that. You'd build a rapport, you'd see how it goes, and, you know, ask questions. If you don't get an answer, make sure that you're pausing enough to receive one, and then if you don't, move on, ask a different question. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes here to do that. If you're done and you're done talking to them, press *2 so I know, but I'm going to give you some time so that you can relax, ask sorts of, you know, all sorts of questions that you want, wait for the answer, see how it comes to you. If that is not working, open your eyes and see if you can connect with them in the room. All right, so really be open and playful and just go with the flow and use your intuition to see how to best connect with these groups. Okay? All right, lots of love. I'll be right back. so it's been 5 minutes. I know, it went by really fast. Would anyone like to talk about their experience, if they've had any communication at all? I would love to hear about it and what it felt like for you. Even if it was minimal. It doesn't have to be mind-blowing. Okay. I am going to Heather, I believe.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So I definitely connected with the fairies as well. So it's kind of like almost a creepy feeling, but I feel like there's like spiders all over my skin. And they're like crawling. It's like almost ticklish, but not really. So I didn't really get much as far as words or anything, but I just that sensation just kept increasing.
Interesting. And what does that sensation make you feel like doing? Was it like get off me, kind of like rubbing them off like they were real, or did it make you want to get up and move around?
No, that's what was weird. Is as it intensified, I was like expecting to feel itchy or, but I didn't. I just was like, it was kind of relaxing in a way.
Okay.
It was like I kind of just enjoyed it because it didn't feel creepy or, like at one point I was like, almost as like when you walk through a cobweb and, you get freaked out. But, yeah, so it was just different.
Cool.
Like not pins and needles, like when your hands feel like fall asleep or anything. That I got with my spirit guides. But, so, yeah, it was just different. But it was interesting.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing.
Thanks.
Yeah, so that, is one more statement that, you never really know what you're going to get. It's always going to be different. So having expectations can be a killer here. Being open to what actually happens and being present is really the key. Now I'm going to Donna. Hello.
Hey, I'll keep it short, but some of my questions were answered in short words and stuff. But one of them that I asked for guidance with, I got this overwhelming, almost like my heart just, I felt like the Grinch, actually, where they show that little magnifying glass and then it pops out of it. That's exactly what I felt like. It just grew out of my chest. And, again, I got overwhelmed with, like, sweet gratitude, and my mouth just got this big, fat grin. But the other parts were more short words and things like that. But that was one of them. It was a huge emotion. It was very sweet.
Cool. Thank you.
And that was Spirit Guide. I'm sorry. I went with Spirit Guide. It's a be easier out on mine.
And so let me ask you this. When you got the words, what did it feel like? Did it feel like, in your words, like what was that like for you? How did you experience that?
The words are in my head, and they're short, and they do come before I finish my question. And they're very positive. It's not like don't, blah, blah, It was create more, express more, things like that. One of them, which was a yes-no question directed towards them, but I was trying to find out if there's one spirit guide I had that I asked for a name, and they wouldn't give me the name. And the response once was, don't get caught up in the woo-woo of my name. So forevermore, I've said that this guy was woo-woo, and that's what I asked if I was talking to, but it was not woo-woo in this situation. And I apologize to woo-woo for calling him that, but
no, that's cool.
So they feel good. One time, and I'll try to. I said I was going to be short, but I'm not. One time in particular, though, when I was about 20 years old, maybe 21, but I was attacked by a man in the woods that I didn't know, and either my spirit guide or my angel, I'm not sure, but it definitely let me know exactly what was going down and exactly all the right moves to make. I mean, way beyond my own wisdom, way beyond anything, because actually I had an argument in my head with the guide, where I was like, yeah, right, because I was very trusting. I was like, yeah, right, he's not going to try to kill me. And they're like, no, he's going to try to kill you. You need to, take these special steps. And it was wild. It was extremely calculated on my guide's half and on my guide's behalf, rather. And I don't know whether it was my guide or my angel, but I'm thankful for that. And that was one of my, big moments that I'll never forget in my life.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was. It was really cool. It was wonderful, actually, to be attacked by this person. But it really was. It really made me open my eyes and appreciate life so much more. And it was just wonderful. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm such a fucker. I know we don't have much time left.
No, that's fine. I just have one last question, because I think sometimes people expect the voice to be somebody else's voice, but for me, it's normally my own voice. And was that the same for you in your head when they showed up, those words?
Well, I've had both happen to me. No, not in this one. I've had both happen to me. In this situation, it was not really my voice. It wasn't far off of my voice, but it wasn't like a masculine or feminine. It wasn't. I couldn't decipher either. And I did ask, "Are you a male or a female?" And it was, I have been both. So I don't. I don't know. I wasn't in my own, but I have experienced it in my own, where I thought, like that one in the woods. I thought I was talking to myself, and I was like, okay, if you're going to argue with yourself, you might need medication. It's like, it was one of those situations.
Yeah.
But I do tend to talk to myself, and it sounds like myself. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It's hard to sometimes decipher if it's your own self speaking back or if it's a different entity. But in this situation tonight, it was not my own particular voice talking back. So in my head, I didn't hear it audibly. It was all in my head.
Thank you. That was really great sharing.
Thank you.
All right. So I hope you all had an interesting experience. So let's see. Deborah said that she connected for the dolphins. Her hands got warmer, and says her job is to answer questions online for people, because Deborah's looking for a new career kind of thing. Awesome. I'm glad that you finally got some answers from that, Deborah. That's really great. So whether you are able to hear or see or feel whatever is coming in for you, like I said, be grateful for it, and then more will come. Even if you get nothing, remember, nothing is something. So be grateful for the nothing, for that chance and moment to just relax and be in the moment, and maybe that's all you needed at the moment. We're not completely done for this week, but I want to tell you that next week we're discussing clues and signs and symbols. And often your guides and your higher self will give you clues in your life, not through trying to be psychic, but actually showing up in your world to help you along your path and to answer your questions. And I have met people whose guides will only talk to them that way and kind of force them to be in the moment in their daily lives in order to get information from them. So if you absolutely feel like you got nothing today, or that your guides refuse to talk to you, you may be one of those people who, has to really pay attention in the moment in life, and that's where you're going to get your information. So, so that's that. What I want to do right now is another little fun thing where I would like you all to do a reading for each other. And again, we may not have time to go through everybody's answers, so I'm going to ask for a guinea pig, and hopefully someone who hasn't been a guinea pig before. So if you'd like everyone to do a little reading for you, press star 2 or type into the chat and the webcast. And then for homework, you guys can all finish up in the Facebook group. Okay, so the first guinea pig is Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
So, I off the top of your head, is there any one question that you have that you'd like some clarity on? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but...
I think really just any clarity with work would be great.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute you again for a moment, and I'm going to ask everybody else to get into your quiet place, and you're going to do a reading for Heather using your own support system, okay? So connect with anyone you feel is appropriate, or simply just ask your whole team, everyone you've connected with tonight. Just say, okay, guide team, please give me some clarity for Heather regarding work. And then just go with the first thing that comes to you, whether it's a word or a feeling or an emotion, and then when you're done, press *2, and we'll get your answer. And I see you, Jennifer, you're next. Okay, so anyone who's gotten anything for Heather, you can press *2. I'm going to start with the webcast answer that we got from Deborah. And she said, just in hearing the name Heather, I heard happiness, fun, and run. And when she asked the question, she heard umbrella as in protection. And when she asked for more about that, she heard protect from all the things falling on her head. Okay, so remember that none of us are interpreters. We're just the messengers, so whatever you get, just relay, and it's up to Heather to interpret. All right, now I'm going to ask Dion what she heard. Hey. Dion?
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, sorry.
I think I was on mute. Okay, so I felt my hands be alive as if I was knitting or sewing or... So that's it. I didn't hear anything. I just kind of felt like my hands were being used.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And now we have Donna. Hey.
Hey. The first impression I got was of a man with a bald head, and he was a tiny bit older. I don't know, not terribly old at all, but he's not extremely young. Anyway, he's got a bald head, and he's got little tufts of hair still, in that ring around, by the ears to the back to the other ear sort of thing. And it was almost like you were supposed to follow him. So I asked for clarification on him. It said you could trust him. And then the other was speech pathology, very strong.
Very cool. Thanks.
Welcome.
All right, and Heather, now I'm going to pick you up and see if you have any comments on that or anything you want to add. Okay.
Well, so Donna, you described my stepfather to a T, which is kind of funny because he looks exactly like that. And he actually is kind of a crucial part of what I do at work because his company and the company I work for do a lot of work together, so that's kind of interesting. I'll have to be a little more aware of that because I'm in design and he is a project superintendent. So, and the umbrella, I guess, I don't know, maybe just to, protect myself. I mean, that one I have to think on. But, and Dion, I just feel like I do work with my hands because I'm crafty and I'm always designing stuff, so that makes sense to me. So, yeah, they were all, the umbrella is the only one I'm going to have to the only thing I can think of is, like, maybe it's shielding me, like, at a construction site or something. So, but thank you so much.
Yeah, you can also think metaphorically, because you mentioned all the things falling on your head. So are you allowing the opinions or thoughts of others to, alter your own opinions? Are you allowing outside influences to really get into your head?
I don't feel like I am. I actually am kind of in agreement, oddly enough, with people lately. So it's interesting that metaphorically that you say that.
Cool. Yeah, just asking.
Yeah.
But, something will probably come to you over the next day or two. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll let everyone know. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So we are at time, and Jennifer was the next guinea pig. So, Jen, if people can do your reading for you on the Facebook group, or next time we're going to be doing more readings, so you'll be the first on the list. And I hope today was good for you. I hope you got enough out of it. Oh, let me pick up one more. Dion. Hey.
I just wanted to ask Jennifer if she had anything in particular that she wanted us to ask about.
Sure. Let me ask her. Hey, Jennifer.
Hey. I guess, thank you. I guess career.
Okay, cool. And we'll make a thread for you in the Facebook group about answering this for the career. I'll chime in too.
Sweet, that'll be fun.
Cool. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so yes, feel free to ask your one question or area of life that you want support in, and everyone, I'd love to see you all practice in there and have some fun with it. I'll even chime in this week. That'll be really fun and interactive for all of us to do together. Does anyone have any questions about today? If you do, I'm happy to answer them. Oh, and Deborah clarified, she said, no, protecting from being bombarded or overwhelmed. So ask yourself if you're feeling bombarded or overwhelmed. And I'm sure that you guys can clarify in the Facebook group if you'd like. Okay, so it seems like nobody has questions, which is great. Practice, practice, practice. And next week, which is the final week, we will be talking about symbols, about, your own universal feedback system. Really, it's like your pathway to evolving to whatever you want to become, and how you can read the signs in your life and read the symbols coming from your oversoul and from the universe to assist you in living the life that you really want to live. Very cool, very exciting topic, makes me smile. So I'm really looking forward to meeting up with you again next time. All right, guys, lots of love. And as always, the replay and the handouts will be in the Facebook group, and I will see you guys over there. Bye-bye.